comfortable, but that will start to tick its way back up as we go through Monday, Tuesday, even on Wednesday, as more rain is going to be working into the forecast. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes. Richard?
Thank you, Anthony. We're learning the identities of the sister and two little brothers who drowned late yesterday at Clarks Hill Lake. The Lincoln County Sheriff confirming the siblings are 22-year-old Raven Powell, 4-year-old Mason Powell, and 3-year-old Sawyer Powell. The drowning happened yesterday at the Amity Recreations area. Both the GBI and Department of Natural Resources are investigating along with the Sheriff's Office. Well, it's finally here, the grand opening of the Community Hub for Innovation in the Laney Walker and Harrisburg neighborhoods. The $10 million facility will help families in a lot of different ways. Access to fresh food, health care, student literacy. There's an East Hub and a West Hub. The West Hub is where 4 nonprofits will be located. Their goal is to help this historically underserved area right in the heart of downtown Augusta.
The community has done something amazing with these 2 buildings, and now what we have in front of us is how do we make these buildings come to life.
Later on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're going to break down just how much this means to families in the area. We're working to learn more about an FBI raid at an Augusta church connected to a second location in Hinesville, Georgia, and now possibly another one. A third church near Fort Hood, Texas, also raided. Our sister station in Texas says the Assembly of Prayer Christian Church in Kylene was raided yesterday. The FBI would not confirm if the raid is connected to the raid at the Assembly of Prayer in Hephzibah off Old Tobacco Road or the House of Prayer Church in Hinesville near Savannah. The FBI did confirm those 2 are connected. All 3 cities where the raids happened have military bases nearby. Today marks 1 year since the deadly condo collapse in Surfside, Florida. 98 people killed in that building's collapse in the middle of the night. Those who died ranging in age from 1 to 92 years old. They did reach a tentative settlement, families did, with the families of those victims who sued. That's valued at nearly $1 billion, but survivors are still recovering mentally from what happened that night. Spartanburg County looking to remember the life of a young deputy who was shot in the line of duty responding to a call. Deputies were called to a domestic incident Tuesday afternoon, and that deputy, Austin Derek Aldridge, was shot as he approached that home. Deputies have been out there through the night watching over his cruiser, and the support continues to grow.
Heartache and pain for the family. It's devastating. This community's lost a great person.
Someone who watches over our town and city, something like this happens to him at this young of an age.
Deputy Aldrich was an organ and tissue donor. His body transported from Spartanburg Regional on Wednesday to Columbia, where officials say his donation will go to help dozens of people. Preparations for the Augusta Pride Festival underway right now. That's going on tonight and tomorrow downtown. The Beats on Broad happens tonight. It's a huge outdoor dance party, and the Augusta Pride Parade and Festival happens tomorrow. The parade starting at 10:30 in the morning on Jones Street. Then the festival kicks off at 11. It's all a free event.
For me, it is really about, like, we do this for the individuals that have not yet came out of the closet, for the individuals that are still questioning themselves, for the individuals that may need a resource out there that they don't know available to them.
We'll be covering Augusta Pride as it wraps up into the weekend. Coming up, a deeper look into how South Carolina will handle the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Anthony.
Richard, as we go through the rest of this evening, an isolated shower isn't going to be ruled out, but many locations staying dry, dropping into the low 80s by about 9 o'clock. We'll talk about that weekend forecast coming up next. We'll stick to those upper 80s and low 90s through Friday.
Anthony, thanks. We've been watching these live pictures now outside the Supreme Court, Washington, D.C. Protesters have been gathering there throughout the afternoon. Today's ruling opening the door for state legislatures to impose tighter restrictions or even total bans on abortions, with South Carolina among them. Our State House reporter, Mary Green, explains what we could see happening next in Columbia.
Starting next week, Friday, members of the General Assembly can be called back here to Columbia for a special session to change the state's abortion law in response to today's ruling. Now, members in both chambers say this session likely wouldn't happen until late summer or even in the fall, but some have already started preparing for what could be coming.
We're ready to go. We'll probably get started on this in the next week or so.
Republican Representative John McCravy is referring to a newly formed committee he's chairing, made up of 8 Republicans and 4 Democrats from the state's House of Representatives. It's tasked with taking public testimony and writing up the details for this bill already filed which would prohibit abortions in the state of South Carolina.
I think we have a very conservative state. I think we have a very conservative legislature. And I think it'll be a conservative law that'll be passed.
McCready himself supports a total ban with exceptions only for the life of the mother.
It's not going to depend on my opinion. It's going to depend on the votes, and we hope they're there for that.
Democratic Representative Beth Bernstein believes there would be enough support in both chambers for a total ban with no exceptions.
And I'm not sure how that will impact in vitro fertilization and things of that nature as well.
Bernstein says that would be a travesty for the women of South Carolina and believes it's an issue the state should stay out of legislating, though it seems unlikely the Republican-controlled General Assembly will.
I will appeal to my moderate Republican colleagues to think about that when casting votes that are going to really take us back 50 plus years.
South Carolina already has one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country, the fetal heartbeat law, which bans most abortions after around 6 weeks. Now, that law has been blocked in court since right after the governor signed it last year, and it is still blocked right now. But earlier today, Attorney General Alan Wilson filed an emergency motion to allow South Carolina to enforce this law as soon as possible. A court has given the plaintiffs in that case, including Planned Parenthood, until Monday morning to respond. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Still to come here, first at 5. How safe are you online? We take a look at some ways to keep your online information safe and how to remove any data that's out there next in Watching Your Wallet. We're getting some new information about those 3 siblings who drowned yesterday in Lincoln County. The Lincoln County Sheriff confirming they are 22-year-old Raven Powell, 4-year-old Mason Powell, 3-year-old Sawyer Powell. Now we're learning the game wardens were called around 9 o'clock last night to that scene. They tell us the 2 children had already been pulled out of the water by bystanders, and then the game wardens had to use sonar equipment and then found Raven Powell. That was around 11 o'clock last night. The drowning happening yesterday at the Amity Recreation Center in Lincoln County. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling in favor of a Georgia death row inmate who says he wants to be killed by a firing squad. The decision came after the inmate challenged the state's lethal injection rule. He's seeking to die by firing squad, a method not currently allowed in the state. But the court rules the inmate is allowed under a federal civil rights law that lets people seek remedies when their constitutional rights are violated. The South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice says they fired an employee after finding a gun inside the Midlands Evaluation Center. The director says it was not a DJJ employee. Staff discovered that weapon in the employee's belongings and it was confiscated. Later, the employee was arrested and fired. The U.S. sending another round of military aid to Ukraine to help with the shipment, saying there is more on the way. This comes as New Delhi also announces it's reestablished its diplomatic presence in that country. Afghanistan's foreign ministry says it welcomes that decision. Your privacy online is more critical than ever, but with a simple search, your sensitive data could be available to anyone. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePava speaks out with an expert about what information is out there and the steps you can take to try to remove it.
Google your name and see what personal information is sitting online about you. You may find your age, date of birth, even home address just listed on the internet. Mark Kapczynski with a company called Wrdw says there are currently upwards of 150 to 200 people search websites.
That they can just buy this data from big companies and then just park it out on their website so that Google can index it and show it up, as part of a Google search. I mean, it's just remarkable because this is not a problem in any other country but the United States.
Kapczynski says these privacy-breaching sites do follow the law and have a feature where you can have your information removed by opting out, but it's a time-consuming process.
These people search websites are so bad that even if you remove your information through their opt-out process, 2 to 3 months later, your data comes back in.
It's sort of like a game of whack-a-mole. Now, there are services that will do this for you, remove your name. Wrdw costs about $100 a year, but offers a free scan to see if your information is out there. Norton offers a service that tracks your information online. There's also a site called Reputation Defender. You just have to do your research and see if it's worth it. to have your information removed. With this watch in your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And there's a new feature where you can also ask Google to remove your personal information from its search results. Google will ask for examples of websites where your personal data appears and will review that, but it does not guarantee the company will actually remove the information. Netflix laying off nearly 300 employees. A Netflix spokesperson says they made the cuts to bring costs in line with that slower revenue growth. Back in May, Netflix laid off more than 150 staffers, along with dozens of contractors and part-time workers. The company lost 200,000 subscribers at the end of the first quarter. They're expected to lose another 2 million in the second quarter.
As we head toward this weekend, we're going to be talking about some more temperatures into the lower 90s. 93 degrees on Saturday, a little bit warmer on Sunday. The chance for a few isolated storms come Saturday afternoon, but many locations staying on the drier side. Well, another check of that weekend forecast coming up next.
And the Richmond County Sheriff's Office asking for help finding a man wanted for murder. A murder happening 10 days ago at the Captain D's off Wrightsboro Road. 40-year-old Ravenel Javon Gamillion wanted in connection with that. He's considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information, contact the Sheriff's Office. On Fridays, we like to spend some time in this cool spot. This is a live look at the Georgia Aquarium. Taking a look at the African penguins right now, just some of the aquarium animals where you can get up close, face to face. But always fun to watch them in there, and you know they're comfortable. I don't care how hot it is in Atlanta. They are nice and cool inside that exhibit right there.
They're cool. They got the air temperature down in there, but they got a tiny little pool to go jump in. And we were seeing a couple of them jump around. There's one kind of swimming around. He's loving it. We'd love to be at the pool right now, too. We are seeing some pretty warm temperatures here in Augusta over the last couple of days. And fortunately, as we head toward this weekend, it is going to be trending a little bit cooler. But first, let's take a look at that community calendar. Happening tomorrow, Betty's Bash Paddle Race and Music Festival is going to be going on. The event is free with live music and food vendors. The paddle race is about $30, and it all starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We are going to start tomorrow morning off with a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures are going to be a little bit mild into the 70s, about 70 degrees here in Augusta. And as we go through the afternoon, we'll start to warm things up into the lower 90s. So about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, if you guys want to pull up that graphic, we're going to be seeing those temperatures start to warm up out of those 70s and 80s, eventually getting into portions of the 90s throughout the afternoon. So about 93 degrees for tomorrow afternoon, and then we are going to be sticking to those low 90s as we go through Sunday and Monday with a little bit more sunshine. The next chance for rain isn't going to be coming until we get through the middle of next week, closer to Tuesday into Wednesday as a stalled out front moves through the region, and then we're going to see those temperatures slightly cooler into the upper 80s.
Protests are still showing up just hours after